Oh, let me tell you, it's not even close. So this is part 2 of the C6 Corvette Supercharger install. In the last episode, you saw a lot of disassembly, how to get everything apart and prepared for reassembly. So in this episode, it's going to be a lot of the reassembly process, how to get the parts installed, and step by step. We do have the instructions printed out from ECS, but they're not the best. So this should help give you a visual aid if you're also doing this install in your car. So stay tuned. So because I can't get the crank pulley back on here, I have an install tool coming tomorrow. We're going to move on to the next thing. So according to their instructions, I need to get the AC belt tensioner off, which is going to be this pulley here and then the 13mm bolt behind it. So 15mm nut gets the pulley off, and then now we're getting in here with a 13. Hopefully this will reach. Okay, and then this is the tensioner. Okay, so now that the pulley and the tensioner are off, according to the instructions, we're removing two 10mm left bottom timing cover bolts. So I got my 10mm on here. Okay, your stock AC tensioner. It came with this on the top of it. I'm gonna remove that. This 3/8 washer they had on this bolt here, going through the center of this new tensioner piece. So I believe this is the 3/8 washer they want you to use. It's stamped 3/8 on it. It fits over the stock bolt. I believe that's the one that's going back through here and being reinstalled. So this is what I figured out. The instructions are a little hard to understand, so I was able to put the first bracket, hopefully you guys can see that, back on the timing cover. So we'll call that like the back bracket, and I'll make this the front bracket. So you're gonna have your stock tensioner on this side here of this tensioner bracket that they're providing you. So you're going to use the longer bolt over here, the spacer on this end, and I'm ordering a new AC belt, so I cannot install this just yet. You have to have the AC belt already routed, because once this goes on, there's no way for the AC belt to get through. But this will go back into the stock hole down in there. This will go up to this new hole here, and then their new tensioner, I believe, is going into this hole on the bracket. Okay, without it being on the card, I believe this is what final assembly should look like. So you're gonna have the Supercharger tensioner here, spacer. This is going into the new bolt hole on that bracket that's already on the car off the timing cover. It looks like I actually have maybe a little contact there. However, I believe this pulley is going to be clocked down this way, so it won't be anywhere near that. This spacer here, it came with this one washer, and I'm not sure exactly if it goes here, but this is the only bolt I see that it fits on, so I'm leaving it there. But yeah, I believe this is the setup. So once I get my AC belt, I will be able to install this on the car. Okay, so it's a new day. I had to wait for this install tool to come off of Amazon. So we're gonna put this through here. So I got engine oil on the snout and inside here. Just get it set in here. So I'm threading the install tool. I'm gonna go as far as I can inside the crank snout before it bottoms out. I would like the pressure to be spread over as many threads as possible. So I just so happen to have a 32mm, and that's what we're gonna need for this larger nut to get this pressed on here. Doesn't feel like it's given too much resistance, so that's good. Here's the issue I'm running into. you can see the alignment between the big pulley here and where it's supposed to go down here is not even close. Obviously I have the AC belt on the back and the main serpentine pulley on the front, just like stock. Let me show you here. This is how this is. AC pulley on the back, main serpentine on the front. You got the flat surface here, snout on the back. It's exactly how I have this one here. You can see the flat surface here. However, the offset, like inside here, is not even close to the stock one. I'm hitting the cover back here. Like this is touching on the inside, so it can't even spin. And I'm like, did I order the wrong part? So I come over here and look, it says C2501 GM LS1, LS2, LS3 Corvette. This is an LS3 Corvette. So how does this not fit? I can't have put it in backwards. Instructions say right here, LS3 Corvette. So after a lot of research, I found out the problem. So this Summit Racing crank pulley on their website says fits LS3 Corvettes, and this is an LS3 Corvette. However, this is a manual Grand Sport, so it has the dry sump oiling system. If you have a automatic Grand Sport, you also have an LS3, but you have the wet sump oiling system. This crank pulley only fits wet sump LS3s. For some reason Chevy changed the crank pulley, whatever, the harmonic balancer, so they do not make a crank pulley that fits a dry sump LS3. So what I'm going to do is I have issued a return for this pulley, and I purchased an ATI Super Damper, whatever you want to call it, because apparently there's only 2 companies that make a harmonic balancer for the dry sump LS3s. That's going to be ATI and Innovators, I think it's called Innovators West or something like that, Innovators whatever. They make the other crank pulley. So I bought the ATI off of Summit. It should be here tomorrow, and then I need to return this one so I can get a refund. Just don't tell them that I installed it on the car. So I just got the ATI damper in the mail, going through the instructions. Gotta get the mounting bolts put in, torqued to 16 foot-pounds, and required to use blue Loctite, so I'm about to do that. Okay, so blue Loctite. Little dab on there. We start it by hand. Get it tightened up with that. It says 16 foot-pounds. Go. Next, we are getting the installing rod on with the nut, bushing, whatever you want to call it. So we're going to get this in there and tighten it down. Then we're going to get the crank on top. So we're going to thread this in by hand. Then I got an 8mm here. Okay, tighten it up just a little bit. I'm just going to use some generic engine oil, rub it on the inside just so that everything's all lubed up. And get engine oil all on the inside here. Some more engine oil on crank snout. So I gotta push down there as far as I can. Now we're doing installer tool. So now we're gonna go nice and slow. I big brained this pulley install. For one, I don't have a starter lockout piece or whatever. So I do have a manual, so I have it in gear e-brake fully engaged, plus wheel chocks underneath the rears with the jack, putting some weight on the wheel chocks so the rear wheels can't spin. So that helped hold this crank pulley in place, because all it wants to do is turn over the motor. This needs to be torqued to like 240 foot-pounds with the old bolt, and now I'm going to take out this old bolt and put in the new bolt with some Loctite, and then do it to like the 30 degrees, or sorry, 30 foot-pounds, and then 140 degrees, I believe, is the install. Don't quote me on that. But I do have a large torque wrench. It was not able to get this to 240. No matter how much I pulled, I was slipping. So what I did is I took my biggest breaker bar and wrapped it up with a little cam ratchet strap, and I was able to use this to get more leverage on it and get to 240. And then I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh man, but the alignment's off. Like, it's protruding, it's sitting, you know, like 1/8 of an inch proud between this this pulley and the crank pulley. But then I remembered this is an 8 rib. I'm only using the inside 6. The stock belt is 6 ribs. So it's perfectly aligned with where it was riding from OEM. So we're good to go. I'm gonna get that new OEM GM bolt in, but that's for another day. Okay, so it's the other day, and we are getting the old GM bolt out, and then we are pinning the crank. So let's get it out. There it goes. So these bolts are single time use, like stretch to fit. So got to get this old one out, then pin the crank, then put the new one in. I think before I pin the crank, I need to do some cleanup. So all right, let's find the crank pin kit out of the box from ECS. This right here. So you have the collar, the drill bit, and the bolts. We're gonna get this installed. We're gonna put this drill bit on our drill, and we need to measure how far we need to drill in for the pin we're installing. So after some looking around, I did some research, and the pins for pinning the crank comes in the same bag in the ECS kit as your new stock GM bolt. This is what's going to hold your drill bit in place while you're pinning the crank, and we're drilling through this side here with the sleeve on it. This is what's going to hold this in place. This little face here is going to go into the crank, and we'll be drilling from the flat side, and this is the supplied drill bit that we will be using. This did come with 2 different crank pins. I think I'm just going to opt for the shorter one, because you can always drill a hole deeper. You cannot drill a hole shorter. So let's get this installed. We're going to be going into the crank this way, and it's acting like it doesn't want to thread. What the fuck? So, bit of an issue. This bolt supplied with the pin kit has no flange on the head and a couple of washers. They want you to use this on here. Unfortunately, it doesn't reach far enough to the threads inside the crank. So I tried it without the washers, and we can see it just spins. It's not reaching the threads. So let's take a look at the stock bolt. Significantly longer, maybe 1/2 inch. The only problem is you cannot drill with this bolt because of the big washer and the top hat looking flange on it. It'll cover up where we need to drill. So my options is go to the store and buy a longer version of this, or this bolt is junk to me anyway, so I may cut off this washer here with a cutoff tool, and then with my grinding stone on my bench over there, I may take this top hat down to make it like this. So before I do anything, I do want to take a note here and say this is the bolt that came out of the car. This is the bolt they supplied me. Now that is like an inch shorter. I don't even know if this can even reach the threads. And the answer is no. So they must have supplied me a bolt for a different LS, because this is way longer. So I'm gonna need to order one of these bolts. $32 later, I got the OEM bolt. This is the right length we need. Let's take a look at the finished product here. So I just kind of sanded down the sharp edges on there just so we got a nice flat surface. I got a couple of like hang nails there. Yeah, so I'll cut off the washer, cut off all the flanges. Let's see if this will fit in the pinning, whatever you want to call this, bracket, I guess. Oh, mamma mia, that's hot. So if you can see here, plenty of room to pin, and hopefully this bolt will be long enough to grab the threads. So you can see it's actually grabbing the threads in there. Ow, it's hot. And that's what I'll be drilling through. So this will work. So I talked to Doug at East Coast Supercharging. He said for my application I should use this shorter one. So what we're gonna do is line up the shorter pin with the drill bit, and we are going to mark out how far we have to drill in. So the instructions say to slide the drill bit slightly past where the crank pin is going to go, and because of this little lip here, you can see about close, maybe a little bit more, say probably about like that. So the drill bit's protruding a little more than the crank pin, and now we're going to mark it with some tape. ATI damper comes with a keyway, which we're going to want to avoid. So I am probably going to drill at the 12 o'clock position just so I have the most amount of room for my drill inside here. Okay, so I got it snugged up on there with that makeshift bolt, about 12 o'clock position, so I know we're avoiding the keyway. And I'll be drilling through the top side here with the sleeve, and that's where the pin is going to go. Safety first, get your glasses on. We got our drill bit installed. Let's make sure we're tight. Probably setting 1 just to keep it nice and, oh, you know what? I want to do like a drop of oil on here. Just some oil on there, maybe help keep it cool. Okay, we're most of the way through. Let me clear that out just so I can see what we're working with. Let's check depth. Yep, we're right at the mark. So let's get it pulled off. You can see it. There's the hole. Time to pin it. Okay, you can see I got the pin pushed in there. It's sitting just flush of the lip of the ATI pulley. So now I think we are ready to break out the new OEM crank bolt and get this put on, which these are one-time use. Okay, so according to ChatGPT, the torque spec is 37 foot-pounds. And then 130 degrees or something like that. Let me see. Yeah, 37 foot-pounds, an additional 140 degrees. So I have it marked here on 2 sides, on the socket and the bolt, just so I can make sure that I'm rotating it. So if a 180 is directly opposite, I'll just do like a small, just a little bit less than 180. Call it a day. We will also be applying blue thread locker to the threads here. Gonna call that good. Okay, now we're going in. That'll be 37 right there. Okay, so right here is where the mark is. I'm gonna probably put this down at the 6 o'clock position, and I'll just keep turning till the other one's at the 12 o'clock position, and then that'll let me know that I'm at my 140 degrees. So that's 140 degrees. You can see we should be good to go here. So next thing, we're gonna start getting this extra tensioner on with the OEM AC tensioner, but I needed to wait for my new AC belt to come in. So I purchased, let me see if it's in here. Yep, just an OEM AC belt, because from what I read, these are a pain to change out and you don't want to cheap out on these. So I think it was like 27 bucks on Amazon. We'll get this set in there prior to mounting on the new tensioner style, because once this tensioner goes on, there's no changing the AC belt. So you can see she's in there, she just needs her tensioner on. Okay, so this is the orientation that I believe it is supposed to be in. I didn't really know according to the instructions where this washer was supposed to go, but this is the only place that I think makes sense. When you take this apart, there's a little rubber gasket that goes inside of this tensioner that kind of holds it onto this bolt so it doesn't fall off. But that dowel, I guess, is gonna fall off. So from my understanding, I think I need to take, oh my lord. So from my understanding, I think I need to take this off first just so I can get proper torque on this one here. Let's see. Yep, so that is the setup. Got the sub tensioner bracket back there. I got the AC belt on with the tensioner, so the way it's routed, it's going around the crank pulley up over the AC tensioner, and then on this side, let me see if I can get you some light, it's going over the new supplied ECS bracket, hopefully you can see that, and then around the AC compressor. So that took me a minute to kind of figure out that routing. Just got everything tightened down. I think the alignment on it is looking good. But yeah, I'm gonna keep moving forward here. So you can see, power steering rack is back in. I just gotta get the bolts through, it's all lined up. What a pain in the ass getting this in and out, but at least it's back in there. We're doing reassembly. Obviously you can just follow the steps we took to get here, just follow them in reverse. I'm gonna try to do some cleaning while I'm in here. ECS instructions say the next order of business is getting the subframe reattached. So we're gonna get our spacers out with our pry bar, and then we are going to retighten the 4 21mm nuts. $130 foot-pounds, retorque the subframe. Okay, so power steering rack, 75 foot-pounds. There we go. So now that the power steering rack and the engine cradle is all retorqued, next we're going to use the supplied relocation bracket in picture A to move the transmission cooler lines further away from the engine. So we're talking about these lines right here. Our new tensioner is going to go right here, so we need to move it this way. According to their photos, it looks like it moves to the left in front of this AC compressor. So I was looking for the supplied brackets, which are right here, and they are going to be these ones right here. So they're in whatever this package is. So according to this, we're going underneath the car and we are just moving it further that way. And you can see the leaf spring here. The 10mm nut I think we are taking off is right there. and that holds the transmission lines on. So I believe we're taking this one off and moving it that way. In addition to the 10mm we just took off there, you're also going to steal one of these little clips with the screw that goes off of the front bumper. So I just stole one off the lower part. Maybe I'll replace it, maybe I won't, but we're using it here to hold the lines on. Okay, so I didn't record it, but you could see I got the oil pan bolt and the new, I think they call it a 7mm fascia bolt, holding on the two lines there. To make it easier, I did take off this rear 10mm, so I just got to put this one back on and it should be good to go. I don't know if you can see it, but it does look like they're touching the motor mounts a little bit. I don't see any way that they wouldn't be doing that, so we're just leaving it as is. Next step, we're installing the heavy duty tensioner and pulley assembly using the supplied 9/16 bolt on the previously installed bracket shown in picture D. So it looks like, you know, it's supposed to go towards like 2 o'clock towards the crank pulley. So let's get that put on next. Next step, remove the 4 13mm bolts holding the radiator support cradle to frame. Do not remove the frame from car, just drop approximately 1 to 2 inches to allow for installation of radiator relocation bars.